Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will not just inspire you, it will challenge you to never see yourself the same way again. Self-doubt is not some shadow you're cursed to live with. It's a lie you've agreed to believe. And today, you end that agreement. You've been told that self-doubt is natural, that it's something everyone carries, that it's just part of being human. But here's the truth. Self-doubt is not a permanent stamp on your life. It's not written in your DNA. It is not your destiny. Self-doubt is a choice. A choice you've been making unconsciously. Every single time you let fear dictate what you're capable of. And the moment you recognize that, the moment you stop treating doubt as a life sentence, everything changes. Think about this. How many dreams have you buried not because they were impossible, but because you doubted yourself? How many opportunities have slipped away because you let your mind whisper, "I'm not good enough"? Doubt never had any real power. It never had teeth. The only strength it carried was the strength you gave it. You've been feeding it with your attention, your energy, your belief. Every, "I can't," every, "what if I fail," every, "maybe later," has been water to the weed of doubt in your life. And weeds only grow when you keep watering them. Now let me ask you something powerful. If self-doubt is a choice, what happens the day you choose differently? What happens when you stop feeding the lie and start feeding your potential? The human spirit is built for resilience. History is proof of it. People with less than you, people with scars deeper than yours, people who were told no 1,000 times louder than you, still broke through. The difference wasn't that they never felt doubt. The difference was they refused to let it stay. They chose action over hesitation. They chose faith over fear. They chose destiny over doubt. And that's exactly what you need to do. Because every second you delay, doubt grows stronger. Doubt is a parasite, and its only job is to convince you that your brilliance is unreachable. But let's be honest, it's not unreachable. It's sitting right inside you, waiting for you to claim it. You can feel it sometimes, can't you? That tug in your chest, that fire in your gut, that whisper in your soul saying, "I'm meant for more." That's your truth. That's your calling. And doubt is the only thing blocking you from stepping into it. Not lack of skill, not lack of opportunity, just doubt. Here's what you must remember: doubt is not truth. It masquerades as truth, but it's nothing more than fear in disguise. It says, "You're not ready." But readiness is an illusion. It says, "You might fail." But failure is only feedback. It says, "You're not as good as them." But no one can be you. No one can replace you. No one can bring to the world what only you can bring. Doubt speaks with authority, but its words are hollow. The moment you strip it of the power you've been giving it, it collapses like a house of cards. So when you feel self-doubt rise up, don't ask, "Why am I like this?" Ask, "Why am I choosing this?" Because that's all it is. A choice. A decision you've made so many times it became automatic. But automatic doesn't mean permanent. You can unlearn it. You can refuse it. You can stand up today and declare, "I will no longer choose doubt. I will choose courage. I will choose power. I will choose me." And when you make that choice, not once, not occasionally, but every single day, your life will shift so dramatically, you won't recognize the person you used to be. Because self-doubt is not your destiny. It is not your story. It is not who you are. From this moment on, it ends. Because you will no longer choose it. You will choose strength. You will choose greatness. You will choose freedom. And when you do, nothing and no one will be able to stop you. Think about the hardest thing you've ever faced. The moment where it felt like your world was collapsing, where your chest was heavy, and you didn't know if you'd make it through. But you did. You're here. You're listening. You're alive. That is proof that your power has always been there. Doubt tries to erase your memory, tries to convince you that you're weak, that you're fragile, that you're unprepared. But life itself has already shown you to the opposite. If you've made it through storms you thought would break you, then tell me, how could doubt possibly define you now? Power is not something that arrives on a silver platter when conditions are perfect. It's not a gift you're waiting to receive. It's a birthright. It's built into your bones, etched into your heartbeat, carved into your spirit. Every scar, every failure, every rejection you've endured, it hasn't stripped away your power. It has sharpened it. The reason you're still standing is because power carried you here. But here's the tragedy too many people forget. They forget their own survival stories. They forget the moments they overcame. They forget that power is not earned someday in the future. It's alive inside them right now. The mind loves to play tricks. It whispers, you don't have what it takes. It convinces you to wait until you're stronger, richer, smarter, more qualified. And so you hold back. You hesitate. You stay stuck. But the truth is, the only qualification you've ever needed is the one you already have: proof of survival, proof of resilience, proof that when life demanded everything of you, you didn't just break, you adapted, you grew, you rose. That's not weakness. That's raw power. And if you could survive your darkest nights, what makes you think you can't conquer the challenges ahead? The world is full of people walking around, unaware of the greatness they carry. They look at others and think they're strong, they're powerful, they're extraordinary. But they don't realize the same power is flowing in their own veins. The only difference between someone who rises and someone who stays small is not who has more strength. It's who recognizes their strength. Because when you forget your power, you live timid. You settle. You allow doubt to run your life. But when you remember it, when you look at your own scars and see them as medals of honor instead of marks of shame, you step into an unstoppable identity. Don't ever let doubt convince you that your power disappeared. Power doesn't vanish. It doesn't get lost. It doesn't expire. It only gets buried under layers of fear, comparison, and hesitation. But buried is not gone. Buried is not broken. Buried just means waiting. And the moment you decide to dig it up, to reclaim it, to use it, everything shifts. You speak differently. You walk differently. You attract differently. Because true power doesn't whisper. It commands. It doesn't ask permission. It leads. And you have that within you. You always have. So let me say it to you as clearly as I can. Your power has always been there. It didn't leave you when you failed. It didn't abandon you when you were rejected. It didn't disappear when life knocked you down. It stayed. Quiet, steady, waiting for you to notice it again. And once you do, once you claim it, once you refuse to let doubt convince you otherwise, you will no longer live half alive. You will no longer shrink when you should be rising. You will no longer hide when you should be shining. Because your power is not a question mark. It is a fact. It is not potential. It is present. It is not gone. It is yours right here, right now. And the day you stop doubting it is the day you stop living small and start living unstoppable. Confidence is not some magical feeling that drops from the sky when the stars align. It is not something you wake up with one morning after years of waiting. Confidence is a decision. It's a choice you make in the exact moment when your knees are shaking, your heart is racing, and your head is screaming that you're not ready. Confidence is not about waiting until the fear disappears. It's about moving forward while the fear is still screaming in your face. That's the secret most people never understand. You don't feel confident first. You decide confident first. We've been trained to believe that confidence is a byproduct of preparation, of perfection, of having everything figured out. But think about the people who inspire you most. They didn't start with certainty. They didn't start with proof. They started with action. They stepped into arenas where failure was almost guaranteed. They stumbled. They made mistakes. And in the middle of that, they built the muscle of confidence. Because confidence grows from doing, not from waiting. And every time you delay action because you don't feel ready, you are handing self-doubt another victory it doesn't deserve. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff with a parachute. Doubt says, "What if it doesn't open?" Fear says, "What if you fall?" And confidence doesn't guarantee you won't fall. Confidence says, jump anyway, because the only way to fly is to leap. That's how confidence works. It's not certainty of outcome. It's certainty in yourself. It's trust that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. That trust is built not by rehearsing forever, not by analyzing endlessly, but by stepping forward, even when your voice shakes and your stomach churns. Confidence is also not arrogance. It's not pretending to know everything or bulldozing your way through life. Real confidence is quiet power. It's the energy of someone who has decided they will not bow to doubt. They will not be imprisoned by hesitation. They will not be paralyzed by what ifs. Real confidence is looking at your flaws, your insecurities, your gaps, and still choosing to show up. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need your perfection. The world needs your presence. It needs you to step into the room, onto the stage, into the opportunity, and own your space, exactly as you are. The tragedy is that so many people wait for permission. Permission to be good enough. Permission to speak. Permission to try. Permission to rise. They wait for the feeling of readiness like it's a signal that will one day arrive. But let me tell you the truth, readiness never comes. There is no moment where all the fear vanishes and all the lights turn green. The people who rise are the ones who stop waiting and start deciding. They look fear in the eye and say, "You're coming with me, but you don't get to lead me." That decision, that defiance, that is confidence. So the next time you tell yourself, "I'll do it when I feel ready," stop. Catch yourself. Because you're lying. You're giving power to an illusion. You'll never feel fully ready. You'll never feel fully qualified. You'll never feel fully fearless. But you don't need to. You only need to decide. And once you decide, you'll move. You'll act. You'll step. And once you step, you'll realize something revolutionary. The confidence you've been waiting for was never something to feel. It was something to choose. Confidence is not waiting. It is acting. It is not luck. It is choice. It is not perfection. It is power claimed in the middle of imperfection. And the day you stop waiting to feel ready, the day you decide to move anyway, that is the day you destroy self, doubt, and step into the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of human potential. It sneaks in quietly, disguising itself as motivation, but what it really does is strip you of your joy, your focus, and your power. Every time you look at someone else and measure your life against theirs, you hand over your confidence. You let their highlight reel make you doubt your own journey. But here's the truth. Comparison is a trap. And the only way it wins is if you keep stepping into it. Think about it. How many times have you looked at someone else's success and immediately felt smaller? How many times have you seen someone achieving something you desire and instantly told yourself, "I'm behind. I'm not good enough. I'll never catch up"? That's the toxic cycle comparison creates. It convinces you that someone else's timeline is your deadline. It convinces you that someone else's strength is your weakness. It convinces you that life is a competition where you're always losing. But life was never meant to be a race against anyone else. The only race that matters is the one against who you were yesterday. The dangerous part about comparison is that it distorts reality. You see the smiles, the wins, the achievements that people put on display, but you don't see the struggle, the doubt, the failures that live behind their curtain. You don't see the nights they cried, the times they wanted to quit, the battles they fought silently. And yet, you compare your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. No wonder doubt grows. No wonder you feel smaller. You're playing a game where the rules are rigged. But the moment you realize that every single person carries unseen battles, you stop idolizing and start humanizing. And when you humanize, you free yourself from the illusion that you're less. The truth is, no one else can walk your path. No one else carries your scars, your vision, your voice, your destiny. That means no one can compete with you because there is no duplicate of you. Comparison makes you forget that you are irreplaceable. You're not supposed to live someone else's story. You're supposed to write your own. And your story, with its twists, setbacks, and comebacks, holds a power no one else can replicate. When you embrace that, comparison loses its grip. Because how can you compete with someone when you finally realize there is no competition? The most successful people in the world didn't rise by trying to be someone else. They rose because they owned their uniqueness. They stopped chasing other people's shadows and stepped fully into their own light. That's what you must do. Stop scrolling through feeds that make you doubt yourself. Stop measuring your chapter 2 against someone else's chapter 20. Stop giving away your joy by idolizing people who are simply running their own race. Instead, focus on your progress. Focus on your growth. Focus on becoming the strongest version of you, because that is where your power lives. Not in comparison, but in authenticity. So the next time comparison whispers in your ear, catch it. Recognize it for the thief it is. And remind yourself, there is no one like me. No one can replace me. No one can live the life I was born to live. That's not arrogance. That's truth. And when you embody that truth, when you stop competing and start creating, when you stop doubting and start owning, you will finally understand what it feels like to live free. Because comparison is the enemy of destiny. And the day you choose to banish it, the day you stop measuring your worth against anyone else, is the day you step fully into your own power, your own light, your own greatness, without apology, without doubt, without limits. The way you speak to yourself matters more than anything anyone else could ever say to you. Because long after the noise of the world quiets, it's your own voice that remains. And for too many people, that voice has become their greatest enemy. You would never tear down someone you love with words of cruelty. But how often do you do it to yourself? How often do you whisper, I'm not enough. I'm failing. I'll never measure up. You carry those words like chains, and those chains become the very reason self-doubt thrives. Here's the truth. Your words are not harmless. They shape the way you see yourself. They shape the way you carry yourself. They shape the way you step into opportunities or run from them. Every sentence you repeat to yourself is programming your reality. If you call yourself weak, you'll live weaker. If you call yourself broken, you'll show up broken. If you tell yourself you're not capable, you'll act incapable. And then you'll mistake those actions for proof that the lie was true all along. That's how doubt roots itself. Through the silent power of your own inner language. But imagine flipping that script. Imagine speaking to yourself with the same passion, compassion, and encouragement you'd give to a friend you deeply love. Imagine looking at your reflection and saying, you are capable, you are strong, you are resilient. You will rise again. What would shift in your life if those were the sentences echoing in your mind every single day? That's not empty affirmation. It's alignment. Because your brain believes what it hears most often. And when you feed it words of fire instead of words of defeat, it begins to create a new reality for you. Don't misunderstand. Speaking to yourself with love is not pretending life is easy. It's not ignoring your flaws. It's not covering pain with pretty words. It's about becoming your own ally instead of your own executioner. You already have enough critics in the world. Why let the loudest one live inside your own head? When you shift your inner dialogue, you're not denying reality. You're choosing the version of reality that empowers you to act, to persist, to overcome. You are reminding yourself of the truth that you are not defined by failure, not defined by comparison, not defined by anyone else's voice, but your own. The most dangerous thing about negative self-talk is that it becomes normal. You repeat it so many times it feels natural. You don't even notice when you insult yourself, when you dismiss your own wins, when you sabotage your own confidence. And yet, every single word is shaping your identity. But here's the power: you can rewire it. You can consciously, intentionally, and deliberately replace destructive words with empowering ones. It takes awareness. It takes consistency. But if you can train yourself to be your biggest critic, then you can also train yourself to be your loudest supporter. And when that shift happens, doubt begins to die. So hear me when I say this. Speak to yourself like you speak to someone you love. Because you deserve that kind of love. You deserve that kind of grace. You deserve that kind of fire. Your voice should not be the reason you stay small. It should be the reason you rise higher. And the moment you decide to make your inner dialogue your greatest weapon, instead of your greatest weakness, you will stop battling yourself and finally start building yourself. Because the way you speak to yourself will either chain you to self-doubt or catapult you into greatness. Choose wisely. Choose powerfully. Choose to love yourself in words, in thought, and in truth. Because once you do, nothing will ever be able to silence you again. There is a freedom that no amount of money, success, or recognition can buy. The freedom of self-belief. Because when you believe in yourself, you stop being chained to the opinions of others. You stop living for their approval. You stop shrinking to fit into their limited vision of who you should be. Self-belief is liberation. It is the moment you declare, I am enough. I am worthy. I am powerful. Not because the world says so, but because I decide so. That is the kind of freedom that can never be taken away from you. The reason so many people stay trapped in doubt is because they've outsourced their worth. They allow society, family, colleagues, even strangers on the internet to dictate how valuable they are. And the moment that external approval disappears, so does their confidence. But here's the truth. As long as your belief in yourself is conditional on someone else's opinion, you'll always be a prisoner. True freedom comes when your self-worth is non-negotiable, when no rejection, no criticism, no failure can shake it. That's not arrogance. That's unshakable identity. Self-belief doesn't mean you'll never stumble. It doesn't mean you'll never doubt for a moment. It doesn't mean every door will open the first time you knock. What it means is that even when you stumble, even when you fall, even when you hear no 100 times, you don't question your worth. You don't question your potential. You don't let the closed doors convince you you're unworthy of walking through another one. Because when you believe in yourself, failure is not a definition. It's a redirection. It's not the end of your story. It's a chapter that builds your resilience. The beauty of self-belief is that it transforms the way you carry yourself. People can feel it before you even speak. It's in the way you walk into a room. It's in the way you hold your head high. It's in the way you no longer apologize for existing. When you truly believe in yourself, you radiate a kind of energy that makes people stop and pay attention. And here's the secret. When you believe in yourself deeply enough, the world begins to believe in you too. Not because you asked for validation, but because conviction is contagious. And yet, self-belief requires courage. Because it means rejecting the labels you've been given. It means breaking free from the narratives you've been handed since childhood. It means standing in your truth, even when no one else claps for you. That's why so many people avoid it. Because freedom comes with responsibility. If you believe in yourself, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer blame others for keeping you small. You have to rise. You have to own your greatness. And that kind of accountability terrifies people. But let me tell you this, the moment you choose it, the moment you embrace that responsibility, you step into a power that no one can touch. So hear me clearly. Self-belief is the ultimate freedom because it breaks every chain. It ends the need for validation. It silences the noise of judgment. It frees you from the prison of comparison. It allows you to move boldly in the direction of your calling without waiting for anyone to say you're worthy of it. And once you taste that freedom, once you live in it, you will never go back to the cage of doubt. You will never again settle for a life dictated by fear or approval. Because self-belief is not optional. It is everything. It is the foundation of courage, the engine of resilience, the doorway to greatness. And when you choose to believe in yourself, fully and fiercely, you will walk free, rise high, and live unstoppable.